Before we get started, I'm sending the link quickly to Gary Rubin, who was going to say a few things in the beginning. He's unable to access it. Also, when he clicks on it, it goes directly to his room.
Joyce, do you have any other questions?
I think I'm okay. So I don't need to give Melinda any additional permissions because she's now co-host. Am I correct?
Correct. And
Okay.
so while she's presenting, you're looking at a chat to make sure, any questions come up, you'll help her. Everybody that comes in will be muted. So if they're speaking, just let them know that they're muted and they need to unmute.
Okay.
What else? And of course, you can private message me if you're having any other issues with Zoom. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Take care.
Linda?
Yes.
We almost made it on time.
Okay.
Are people able to get to us, you think, Melinda and Joyce?
I'm gonna be honest, we don't know because I had a time getting in myself. We had to get out, get in, refresh. So I'm not sure.
Melissa, what about you? How did you just see us and link it and click on the regular link? Because we were all having issues.
I went back to my email and I got a new, a new VAACE email that said, make sure that you refresh the page to click the links. So I just opened up that page again, and then I was able to get in very easily. I had clicked the previous link and I was in a waiting room. I don't know if that would have sent me here or not.
No, I kept clicking, refreshing and clicking, and it took me to my meeting for tomorrow.
Yeah. So there might be some issues with individuals trying to get in, especially if they don't look at their email, because if Melinda didn't tell me, I would not have known myself. But we're here. So thank you everyone who is here for coming.
Yeah, you'll get very special attention.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Melinda, you in?
Yes, I'm in. I was making sure my screen was that everyone could see the screen. Can everyone see the first slide?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, Gary, were you going to go first?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to introduce these two. They're both fantastic. We met, Melinda and I met. Joyce, I think you and I may have met over the years. You would have to tell me, but I think we have. But Melinda
I think we have as well. Yeah, I think so.
Melinda and I met last year at this very conference, and she came by my room, my virtual room, and we just started shooting the breeze. And we looked at a bunch of different things, and we came upon this product, which used to be called VAACE. It's now called NGen. And Melinda really just took it to Joyce, and the both of them have run with it and have become real rock stars with this program. Like, I mean, they don't know this, but they're famous at New Readers Press inside because they've done such good work with it, and they've done good, really good, straightforward, creative, inventive, honest, transparent work where they got some grant money from us. It got them started, and I think they're going to talk about that. And I just couldn't be more pleased with what great partners they've been. So we've started a little late, so I'll just leave it at that. I'll put my information in the chat, and if anyone wants to talk to me about what happened with them, but I think they'll cover all that, but I'll leave my name in there anyways. So thanks again, ladies. I appreciate it. And I hope
Very
more
welcome.
people,
Thank
I hope
you.
more people show up, but I may text while you're all presenting, I might reach out to some of them and have them see what they can do to help us.
Okay, and it is being recorded, so I mean, if they don't make it, then they definitely can see the recording.
That's true. That's true.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right, have a good day.
Thanks.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, welcome to making the most of our independent study. So Gary gave us a wonderful introduction, and I am Joyce Clement Jackson. I am the ESL support specialist and adult ESL coordinator for Chesterfield County Public Schools.
And I am Melinda Dart. We're just so thankful that you're here. I'm the assistant coordinator for the program. And just to show a few things, go on from what Gary was saying. If you have the opportunity, please stop by either his presentation or the vendor showcase, because he gives a lot of great information. And I know you can tell he's very down to earth. Just having a regular conversation with him really opened doors for us. So that's what we're going to share with you today. Okay, if this lets me go to my next slide. Okay, so just our objectives for today, we really want to make this interactive. I know we go to conferences all the time. We try to learn things that, you know, other people have done or maybe something new, but we really want to just have this be a time where we can make connections, where we share what we have done, but also not just all the successes, but the challenges as well. So what we're going to do today is identify the factors to consider when choosing a learning platform, some of the things that we did, identify and implement specific strategies. We have a ton of links that actually I'm going to put in the chat, the slides. So there's links all, oh wait, that's probably the wrong one. I will put the link to the slides in the chat. Sorry, let me do that really quickly. If this lets me do that. So that all the links, I won't click on during the presentation, but you're welcome to click on them at your leisure so that you can, you know, create, edit, customize anything that you'd like. Sorry, in our district, we use Google Meet, so we're not like totally up on Zoom. We don't use Zoom at all in Chesterfield County. So it's like, so it's hard to even practice doing it on our personal ones because it's just not the same. So there is the presentation, just so that you have it. Okay, and then the last thing we'll do is identify tools to effectively check in. Oh my goodness. To check in while we are helping students through their independent study process. Okay, now I think we're good. All right, so for an icebreaker, we would like to, I know it's just a few of us here, so that will make it even more connections. Consider this quote as we take a close look at the best ways to support students' independent learning experiences. We know that we all come, you know, from different backgrounds, different educational experiences, and our students come with us as well. So we've actually, our admin team has been doing a book study. It's a Brene Brown book, and this quote really spoke to us. It says, "Connection is why we're here. It gives purpose and meaning." And the rest of that quote says to our lives, but I would like to say it's what gives purpose and meaning to our programs, to our students, to what we bring to the classroom each day. So I want you to think of that, how we can connect as you look at this next slide. If it will let me, I don't know why it doesn't let me easily go to the next slide. Okay, there we go. So you can put this in the chat. Which sign describes your feelings about the fall semester so far? You can just type a number in the chat, but we did this activity with our teachers in the very beginning of the school year, and it's interesting to see different people's perspectives of how they feel, and what a sign means to one person doesn't necessarily mean to another person. I see, thank you for putting those in. I see a 2, I see a 9, and another 2. Would anyone like to share out what your numbers mean? You can put it in the chat, or just unmute and share. I would just point out, like, the deer, it was interesting how some teachers saw that as a deer just prancing through, ready to start the semester, and somebody else saw that as, whoa, a deer in headlights. So Joyce, what was your number?
Mine was the number 2. It spoke to me quite loudly, because since we've been back in the building and running the program since August, I do feel like I'm spinning around and around and around. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. And you know, when I do spin, I kind of get to reflect on things that I have done, and you know, hopefully not do them again if they're not working. And Alice, she concurs. She said, "Same here, Joyce." Melinda, what did you choose?
Yes, I think I always go, my go-to is always number 6, because no matter how good or bad things are going, I think all teachers welcome a snow day. I see some others in there. Yeah, Alice said just keeps going and going without stopping. I see a couple of other 2s and more people entering.
I see a 4.
Awesome.
Gary, why did you choose 4?
Unmute button.
If someone else might have chosen 4, because I was ready to type it when you said it. So I don't know if there's another 4, but I'm a 4 because that's the first one I was actually typing. I was sending some emails out about our issues, but I love what you said about snow days, Melinda, having been an educator. I'm always about go. I just like, I'm going. I just want to go. I've got high energy. I've got a lot of it. Sometimes it can annoy my wife that I have too much energy, but I'm just always about, all right, let's go. And I don't mean that I do it in a fast pace like that. I'm just sort of always ready. And whatever happens, I'll put it this way. My glass is almost always 3/4 full. Maybe that's why I refer to go. So.
Melissa, I see you chose 4 as well.
I did. We had record enrollment this year. Yeah, I'm in the Northern Shenandoah Valley, and our Winchester, Frederick County ESL classes we have a wait list, a long wait list. So I feel like go was kind of like, no matter all the other little details, like we're going to start on this date, we're going to make, do everything that we can to get those classes up running, and all the little details, they always fall into place. There's always a million things on your list to get done, and you just got to keep going. You just got to, and the students are there and they're ready to go. So you got to be ready to keep them there and engaged, so that retention is so important. So.
Well, thank you so much for participating. And I think I'm going to speak for myself. At some point throughout the semester, I probably will have to use all of these. At some point, it will be all of them. But we're going to move on to the next slide.
Well, they're all good skills to have.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little backstory about how we started and how we got here. So we've had a distance learning model of some sort for at least 8 to 10 years within Chesterfield County Public Schools. And students when we first started a distance learning model, it was pretty much students would come after our regular enrollment had ended for this fall, for the spring semester. We would give them a textbook, an online component, and they pretty much would work on their own, and that would be it. So there was really little engagement with the student once the student came to our program and pre-tested, and we gave them the curriculum. As you can imagine, that didn't work very well. There was a very low student engagement, minimal touch points with students. So of course the students lost interest, they weren't motivated at all, and they stopped working. we realized internally that that did have to change. So we really, and like Gary mentioned and Melinda as well, we were really intentional about finding a platform that we could both engage the student, and it promoted student advocacy, it promoted student voice and choice, and while providing them with ongoing support. Okay, slide. So how we chose this, I think it was a little marriage. I think it chose us as well as we chose it. Gary and Melinda actually were able to meet, and we did a little bit of researching. And after we did that, we found that this platform was able to engage our students. We saw that it provided a voice and choice for the students. And the one thing that we considered and we found very, very helpful was track the time with ease and efficiency. One of the things that we have to do when we're using a distance learning platform is we have to make sure that we're tracking our students' time. And it did it with such ease and efficiency that we really, really loved it. Another thing that we considered was the funding. So did our program allow for us to be able to do this? So let me just give a little more of a backstory. This year, we have over 600 students just in the fall. So we have a pretty large program. That is our in-person students as well as our distance learning only students. But it's, we do have a pretty large program. So funding is definitely something that we have to consider when we are looking at anything, any type of instructional platform. And then looking at digital platform funds, can we afford this? So those are the things that when we are looking at things to do to enhance our student instruction, those are the things that we definitely considered. Oh, how about this thinking point? Melinda, could you put that in the chat here? What platforms do you currently use? If anyone actually uses a digital learning platform at this time.
Get an idea?
And you don't have to put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. So Melissa, right now you do not have a digital platform?
Well, I'm trying to figure out, like, do you mean for digital literacy, or do you mean for ESL, or do you mean for just GED in general? Like, we use Essential Ed, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. We use Essential Ed for our GED students. And then we do use like USA Learns, but it's kind of teacher preference more for our ESL students. We use Standout, the teacher companion site, but that's more, instructional rather than student interface. We use Aztec for, we have the GED Flash through Aztec that we're using for our students that are like right there. We have a limited number of licenses with them. But that's been working very well to get our students like right past that tipping point. Okay. So a lot of that is very individualized. So I'm very interested in the SLP.
Okay. All right.
I see in the chat someone put Essential, Aztec, Burlington, and North Star.
While we're talking about these different platforms, would anyone like to kind of share their experiences with maybe one or two of the ones that you use?
Yes, I'm also seeing on there My English Lab, which is something that we also use.
Yes.
USA Learns, couple with USA Learns.
I have a question because I don't have a class, but are there any free platforms that you can? I heard a couple mentioned in other sessions. So I heard about free math, Enlightened Salt or something like that, and
yes, so USA Learns is free. GCF Global is free. We are actually using that right now. Yeah, those two platforms are free.
And I see someone else wrote North Star. North Star is also free.
Okay.
something, well, we'll go into it a little bit later, but something that we found with some of the free ones, a lot of the free ones are great, but to some of the, I don't know, things that you want to specifically do with students, it is important. I know Joyce will talk about on this slide to invest the time and funds. So we'll talk about that a little bit.
Okay. So again, how do we choose an effective learning platform for our students? I think, when you put the work up front, it is a lot of work at the beginning, but when you're putting it up front and you're looking at all these things, we want to see if we want to make it as easy as possible for our students to engage in that platform, to be, to not get frustrated. So looking at investing with speaking with some of the individuals that know the representatives to learn more about the platform and product, that was an essential piece that Melinda, and I'm not gonna even say myself, Melinda really put in the work to meet with representatives, ask those questions about, what do you offer and how is the student able to pick or choose what interests them. But part of that is also investing funds. I know everyone does not have, do not have funds to invest in a lot of the learning platforms, but we're looking to try to find other ways to get the funds. Are there grants out there? Are there other ways to possibly supplement these digital learning platforms? And at last, taking the risks. This is definitely going to take a little bit of risk within yourself, within your teachers, and within the program. I say risk, I mean, sometimes you have to let a little bit of the control go and let the student take on to that platform. And, they're really going to learn how to be independent in choosing what they would like to learn, choosing how they would like to learn. Okay. Let me go to the next slide right here. Okay. All right. Can we go to the next slide, Melinda?
Sure.
Thank you.
It's doing a weird thing when I do this.
All right. So go ahead.
Go ahead, Joyce.
No, I was just going to say, Melinda, when she chose NGen and when we both, I should say we both chose NGen, but when she brought NGen to me, these were the top 5 reasons that we actually made that decision. I'm going to let Melinda take that.
Okay. Just our very top one. I mean, there's a ton of top ones. They're not all here. But I'll just start with the ease of navigating the platform and the relevant content. I'm just talking about, I do know that there are a lot of great free ones out there that our teachers do use and, continue to use, and we have tried. But part of the taking risks, when I met with Gary, I knew in the back of my head was like, we're grant funded and, we know our budget, but it was something that I really wanted to bring to our students in our distance learning program. Like our students, they distance learning is they don't have a teacher, they meet independently, they're so motivated and they want to learn. So what can we give them that is going to help them reach their goals? So the top 5 reasons, other than there's more than what you see here, but the teachers love the ease of navigating the platform, the relevant content. There's always ongoing new lessons added. I was just like looking up some today, like, this month, there's a ton of new lessons added. A big thing is student hours being easily tracked. Joyce mentioned a little bit about that before, but we all know we have to report our hours. And we've done the print version of different things too, or, the companion that goes with different curriculum. And some of them, well, I'll say most of them, you have to like look at the minutes and then you have to add them all up and then you change it to a decimal, and do all these things. You can literally, and I'll show you some snapshots in just a minute, you can just customize the time frame and see the total time. And students can see how many hours they've been working too. Students love the choice of a variety of topics and lessons. And I have to say, at all levels, our higher levels, they are working, on a course or, doing something that's of interest to them. The lower levels are too. They love the pronunciation. They love, you know, the different variety of activities. And also, of course, a great big thing, and is a thanks to Gary, is the mobile learning fund offered by ProLiteracy. When I visited Gary's vendor showcase last year, I just popped in, honestly, because I was a little bit familiar with New Readers Press, because we do get orders, books, you know, from them. And, you know, I just went in, we had a conversation, and he showed me right where to go on the website to access it. And, you know, he's like, you know, give it a shot, you know, so, you know, all of us are used to applying for grants, you know, whether we get them or not, just apply. So that's what we did. If you click on the link, I'm not going to click on it because I don't want something crazy to happen on the Zoom. But one thing we do in our program, we have this thing called Adult ESL Did You Know? And we feature student staff events that happen in our program just to highlight things. And that was one of our Did You Knows, that we got a mobile learning fund for NGen to give you, you know, this awesome platform, because we wanted them to see how important it was to us and this opportunity that we're giving them. So we wanted to make sure that they knew when we're getting these funds for this program, we want them to be using it also. So that's what that link right there is. So I get really excited when I'm talking about it. So let me, another thing I wanted to add, another reason that I didn't put here, but is very, very important, is the ease of the support. A lot of those, because like I said, we do have other curriculums. We're very, you know, we have a certain curriculum for our pre-lit and lit, and then 1 through 3, and then our advanced levels. So we do work with a lot of different platforms. And one thing that can be a challenge is if something goes wrong with it, you have to do a help ticket. You have to do, you know, all these different things to finally get an answer, which may not be for a week or two later. It is not that way with our experience with NGen. I can send someone an email, and with that same day, if not that hour, we will get it resolved, looked at, fixed. And it's just been, that is just a breath of fresh air when you're working on a digital platform and you need that support. So that's also a top reason. On the next few slides, I'm just going to show a couple of snapshots of our favorite parts. And I am not an expert on NGen. I know there's like an NGen thing you can go to, so I would encourage you to go to that. So these are just snapshots from my account of our favorite parts. If it will let me go to the next one. Okay, so this, like I've already talked about, you can customize the time frame to track the hours. I love this. There's like a time frame, October 1st to the 8th. You can do 30 days, 2 days, whatever it is, and get the total time studied. That is definitely a plus when you're tracking proxy hours. Another snapshot is the ongoing new lessons and added relevant content. And this is just a snapshot on like the admin account where you can see the lessons, but they also have a spreadsheet of all of the lessons divided by and all of the courses, and it's categorized by level, by topic, by, you know, all these different things. So teachers can easily look at that, pull some things that they want to use in the classroom, what they want to their students before their students, you know, go and work on it. So that has been a big plus that I love and that teachers have loved.
You can also assign these lessons from that page too, to specific students if you wanted.
Yes, thank you, Gary.
Sure.
Another favorite part is that students can take assessments to see their own progress. I did this and I just kind of went through the questions quickly to have a level, and then it can tell you when to take another assessment. It can tell you, you know, your total minutes studied. And I have to say that students, they really love that part. I just had a student email me the other day, you know, about their time, and it's like they can see how they are reaching their goals. So that to me is really important, when they can see their own time and their own progress. Another one of my favorite parts is after they do an assessment, or even in the very beginning, like it gives you basic questions to answer, like, why are you learning English? Is it to go to the doctors, or is it to, go to college? And it can recommend lessons, but then also students can choose their own topics and interests just by going into a search bar and putting something in to see if there's a course on it. Some of our new students, brand new to the program this year, they are so excited, to put something in and like to see it appear. They're just like so excited. So that's always a cool part of showing them how they can search to find lessons and courses that are of interest to them. Another favorite part is the grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation practice. Now, I'll tell you, students have taught me more of this. I'm going to highlight the pronunciation. I have, there's an upper level student of ours, and there's this, I can't even remember the word, but she would go into pronunciation and this specific word and just keep clicking on it, listening to it, and then you say it back and it will give you feedback. Like try again or something like this. And she was like, I kept working on it. So students get excited about all the different little, all the activities that they can do on it. And please stop me for any questions at any time.
I don't want to be the guy on this call that is like the rep of the product. I just want to say this. And I've been selling distance ed software for 25 years. If you can't engage a student, it doesn't matter how good the software is. If you can't hook a student, you can hook a student in a crappy program or an excellent program, but you have to be able to hook the student and engage them. And I think this program does the most spectacular job of student engagement. Now, of course, they have the good fortune of having Melinda and Joyce helping them all the way, but that's all I wanted to say. So sorry, I just couldn't help myself.
Thanks, Gary. No, I totally agree. And Joyce and we say that in our program, like, whatever curriculum we're using, our teachers, we want them to, make it come alive, because like you said, you can have the best or the not so, not the greatest, but, how we bring it to them is what hooks them. So I definitely agree with that. On this next slide, we're just going to talk about how we collected data and student feedback. So we didn't start using NGen until spring of 2023. So every semester we record the number of gains and growth points before, at the end of a semester. So we did this, in the fall, but when we did when we calculated for this data for the spring semester, it was only a sample of students that were actually here in the fall, and then the same students in the spring that started working on NGen. So we looked at student use of NGen, their hours in that sample of students, and then did it again, recorded the number of gains and growth points after implementing NGen. Now, it's a small number. We launched this with our upper level students and our distance learning students, because we didn't, just for the mobile learning fund initially, we asked for, a certain amount of seats. It was about 50, but not all of those students were here in the fall semester. And then something we do at the end of every semester, but then we did one specifically for NGen. We provided a student survey for comments and overall feedback. So that is how we collected the data and student feedback.
Okay, so as you can see, here's the data from the pilot launch. So in the fall of 2022, number of MSGs before using NGen, 4. Versus spring of 2023, we increased to 7 after the NGen implementation. Our growth before NGen in regards to points. So we look at gains and growth. So in regards to points, the average was a 38-point growth before using NGen. As you can see, Gary, thank you very much. The point growth in the spring after the NGen implementation exceeded our wildest expectations to 134 points.
Joyce,
So
what points mean? I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means.
So, in order to increase a measurable skill gain, which is an MSG, you have to go from one level to another level. So you might have to go from 219 to 221. But if you go from 219 to 220, you did not increase an MSG gain, but you showed growth.
Okay.
So does
Thanks.
that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Absolutely. So, with the higher levels 4, 5, and 6, which is what we, those are the students that we use Engine for the implementation. It is quite difficult for a lot of them to capture a gain because the spread between levels 4, 5, and 6, you need to increase 15 points on the CASAS test to make a level gain. A lot of times it's very difficult to do that, but we saw the students were able to make growth points. So they might not have reached another level, but they have showed improvement. So they've showed growth. A lot of programs don't do gain and growth, and we do this basically for our teachers and students so they can see, oh, you might not have made a gain, but you are learning, you are improving, we're showing growth. Okay. Melinda, do we have time for another thinking point? No, I think we're good as far as time is concerned.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and put what curriculum platform have you used that impacted students? If anyone
Yes.
would like to
So
share.
we do have another thinking point we wanted to put in the chat and see if anyone would like to respond to that. Let's see, is anyone?
Okay, we can go
Okay,
on
we're gonna move on.
if it will let me. Let's see, try again. Okay.
So as you can see here, we love graphs and we love colors, but if you look, the weekly high for our Engine students, 78.9% of the students that worked on Engine worked between 1 and 3 hours per week. So Melinda, when we initiated this this platform, we did have some norms and expectations that we let our students and our teachers know. And could you just give us a little synopsis on what those norms were?
Sure. I will say for our initial funding for the Mobile Learning Fund, it is a requirement that students work a minimum of 2 hours a week. And Gary knows that I was a total eagle eye on the hours. If I see, and I'm doing it now, but I would, because that's another thing with this platform, you can easily see all the students, you can see them by class, by groups. And you can, just put in that time frame of the total time studied. And if I saw anything under that, which of course it wasn't perfect, there were students, that stayed on that worked under that, as you can see in the 10.5%. But if I saw it getting low, I would directly reach out to those students. I would let the teachers know that, hey, I'm reaching out to the students. If it was distance learning student, I directly reached out to them. Hey, are you doing okay? How's it going? Do you need help with getting started, or giving them an idea of what they could start working on? To just kind of motivate them. But that definitely is something, to keep their engagement up, because like Gary was saying, once they get hooked, because a lot of it, I was seeing zeros, not because they were starting and not wanting to do it. It's just like not starting. They might activate it, but then do nothing else. But really, which we'll talk about in a little bit, those touch points with the students is really, really key in helping them stay engaged.
It's like exercise. The hardest part is getting your tennis shoes on and getting out of the door.
That's true.
Right.
Absolutely. Before we go any further, does anyone have any questions about what we have discussed thus far? And then you can unmute yourself if you do. Okay. Linda, can you click on it? It's okay.
I don't know why it's weird.
It's okay.
All right, so this is just an example of a sample of what students had to say about Engine. So like I was saying, we use Google Forms, and it was just, it was really just 2 questions. How often did you go on Engine? and tell us about your experience. How is it helping you with learning English? And this is just these are just a couple of the responses that we got back. I just picked those out of the ones we had. I'll let you read those. But one thing I did want to mention too is it's ongoing. Like, we have new students this semester on NGen. And I just got an email last week of a student. She's an upper level student, and she was just saying how much she loved NGen. And she was saying, when the semester is over, can I continue using it indefinitely? And that's like those are her exact words. And I was really excited about that. So students are seeing the value, and they're seeing that it helps them. We have another student who is continuing to use it just with different things that she's working on, like with a healthcare background, and she's really finding it. She's very quiet, but she's not in the sample of this feedback, but she's continuously, sending emails about how much she enjoys using it. So that's just a snapshot of that. All right, as I try to go to the next slide. Okay, so what are some ways that we can guide students to work independently? This is what we were talking about earlier, just starting from the beginning of helping students work independently, because no matter what model you're using for instruction, whether it's distance learning, whether it's in the classroom, all of the strategies that we have here today, all of the templates you can use in any format. Like, all of our teachers have access to these, and they use these, as well as with distance learning. So the first thing is setting goals. From the very beginning, when students come in to register, after they do the paperwork, they do the pre-test, one thing I give them along with their materials to go home is a template for setting their goals at any level. For the lower levels, provide sentence frames, picture support, and you can see if you click on both of those, they're at two different, one has pictures, one doesn't. They can start with 1 or 2 goals. Higher levels, think about something they want to accomplish and how they're going to do it. Because if you click on those pathway templates, we can have a goal, but how are we going to get there? It's not something easily where we can say, oh, we want to, become this, and then we do it. It's the steps that it takes to get there. So that's what these templates are about. And they just provide a visual for the students. There's some more ideas for goal setting. That is just a website with other ideas. And we were going to put in a thinking point in the chat if you would like to share any ideas in setting goals for your students. What other ways do you have that you help students set their goals from the beginning?
And if you want to unmute yourself, if you'd like to share, that would be wonderful. Okay. All right.
When I share goals with clients, like you guys, the number one thing I like to do is be transparent. So if I was working with students, I might say, this program won't do this, but it does do this. And if you have this problem, let me know. So, that is my, it's, I don't know if it's my claim to fame, but I'm really big on transparency. I know you guys are too, but I don't know if that's a direct answer to your question, but that's how I can relate it. So.
Yeah. Thanks, Gary.
And that's a great point. I mean, we sometimes have level 1 or level 2 students come to us because we ask all students to set goals. And sometimes they'll say, well, I want to get my GED. Let's make a SMART goal, making sure that it is a realistic goal. Not to say that you can't get your GED, but we have to do it step by step. And these are the ways that we can help you get there. So that's a really great point, to be transparent. Okay.
All right, we'll share a few more strategies on the next slide.
And I'm a pretty big stickler on this, but really the strategies of creating a schedule. In our program this semester, in our evening program, we have introduced something called a mixed mode of instruction. So our students are on site with the teacher one day a week, and they are learning independently one day a week. So one of the things that we really had to push at the beginning of the semester and continue to push it is to create a schedule, to be intentional about doing these things. Having, when am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Creating a specific learning space when possible. Where am I going to do this? And actually, just like when we're teaching a lesson, we have objectives. We check off these objectives. Was I able to, stay in tune with my schedule? Was I able to do what I said I was going to do? And if I wasn't able to do it this week, what can I do to get there next week? Okay. Okay, Melinda, we can go to, are you stuck?
No, look, sorry. Okay. Our next point is to how can we effectively check in with students during the independent study process? And I was mentioned before in another way, but establishing and maintaining communication is so important, especially for the students that may only be meeting once a week or not meeting at all if they're completely distance learning. So I have to say that weekly emails go a long way. Just touching base with students. I send out a Friday email, just letting them know different things going on in the program. A big thing is motivating them. In each email, I put a motivational quote, and it really does affect the students because they will respond to the quote. And there are students that have repeated quotes back to me or just always remember them. Just because you are the person cheering them on, or your instructors are the people cheering them on. So if they're not having any touch from teachers, at any other time, those weekly emails mean so much to them, as well as follow-up texts or phone calls. The texts or phone calls are really effective, especially if you see students maybe that they're not engaged or they're not doing the work, or they're not on Engine, their minutes are lower than, or their hours, like one week it was 3 hours and then the next week it's none. You want to be able to, touch base with them and see, hey, what's going on? Do you need help? Or maybe they just want, need someone to talk to. So those definitely go a long way. Something else that we started doing just within the past year is having virtual meetups for our distance learning students. The link there is just a sample initial meetup with slides. All of last year, every time we did a meetup, and they were very short, they were only 30 minutes. And I divided them by level, kind of just like lower level, maybe intermediate, and then advanced. Just 30 minutes, touch base, show some slides. The slides always had, a motivating quote, and then maybe just one skill to work on, and then leave time open for questions. They love to talk during that time. And even sometimes we would practice a skill, but a lot of times it was just conversations because many students, even if they're working, they may not speak English at work, or they, work in a place, or they're, their families, they're not practicing their English. So those virtual meetups were a great time to practice just regular conversation. So then the other link there on the bottom is just a website with motivational quotes.
So Gary had asked in the chat, where do you get your motivational quotes from?
Yes, thanks, Gary. So that's a website with some quotes, and I would just honestly just put in Google motivational quotes and kind of just create a little take a quote with the author, or wherever it was from, and just like stick it on a slide. I think in the sample initial one, it was just like we are on it one team, we're working together. So I just kind of like give it make it a little bit more personal. But I tell you, they love the quotes. That has been a big thing, definitely in distance learning.
I will also say, like, I send out a weekly kind of letter to our staff, and I do motivational quotes every single Friday. Sometimes that just really makes the teacher's day or week, because they've had a hard week, or, you know, we're in this together. It's just letting them know that, you know, we do see you and we do hear you, and we are walking with you.
Yes.
Are these hot links on this presentation?
Yes,
Yes.
all of them are.
Mhm.
And then I see your other question, do you ever use WhatsApp? Many of our teachers do. I started to, but then something happened to mine. I don't know if I have to upgrade or something. So like I said, in our program, we use Google Meet, and that is kind of like the go-to, because students can get it from their phone, even if they're, you know, if they don't have Google, a Gmail. We try to have most of our students have Gmail accounts, but it's mainly, well, it's always Google Meet.
Is anyone on the call? Does anyone use WhatsApp for to reach out to their students? I guess if you want to unmute or text, chat or nothing, but I was just curious because I hear more and more about that.
I
Yes.
do use it personally because I use videos, and with Google, they kind of shorten your video, but if you use WhatsApp, they leave the video alone at the time.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes, I know. I have to get mine fixed.
I know that with our students who are in the mixed mode of instruction, they have taken it upon themselves to create WhatsApps to keep their peer groups together.
Yeah, I hear it around the country, how effective, especially our ESL students. Everybody knows WhatsApp, so you know.
Right.
But it sounds like you've got it figured out with Google Meets, and they're all used to using it. So
Yes, they are.
so I don't click on these. They're not hot links for me. Am I doing something wrong?
The last slide, I have all the links on there. So if they're not working, I'll fix them at that point. Yeah,
Okay,
they should be. Let's
It's
see.
probably me. It's usually operator error.
It's I mean, you shared the slideshow at the beginning in the chat.
Right.
And when I go to that, all the links are live. I can get to everything.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thanks, Melissa.
Okay, and some additional things that, you know, we really do, and we actually talked a little bit about this, is making sure that we are able to touch every student, even if it's by text or by the video chat or just by an email. Sending weekly updates and messages. Again, these are live links. If you go to the resource page, we actually do have samples of each of these things here, the touch point checklist. We do a simple, you know, we might do a simple newsletter just to let the students know what's going on within the program, or what's going on, what you might have missed. You know, we have some events going on, and then actually being intentional about structuring some conference times to provide that individual feedback to those students. Melinda mentioned that she does a weekly check-in. Towards the end of the semester, do you foster in some time to conference with students? Am I correct, Melinda?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so those are those three things that really we found, in addition to the other things that Melinda had mentioned, that are essential in their student progress, and it really makes them feel connected.
Yes. And I'll put this question in the chat. If there's any other tools you use to ensure students are learning outside of class time, can feel free to share or unmute.
Good question. I don't ever think about that question.
All right. Well, we're coming towards the end. It's about 11:41. On this next slide, we were going to list some key takeaways. I always think of that when I'm in a conference, even if I always think of, you know, what's one thing I can take away? So instead of listing them, if you could share your key takeaways just from what you've heard, or learned during this presentation. What's one strategy you will implement to help your students create a successful learning plan? Whoops, here's my thing. Would anyone like to share? I'll kind of couple that with the next slide if you'd like to share any takeaways. Oh, great. I see SMART goals.
Yes.
On this slide here, we were going to save the last few minutes for you to, one thing I always like to do when I'm in a conference is to have time to actually start planning. Maybe you saw something, a particular template or something you'd like to use. All of these, hopefully all of these work. If not, our emails are on one of the last slides. I can email it to you directly, but you're welcome to download, make a copy, customize it for your students, for your teachers to use. All of these we've given to our teachers to, to also customize, make it fit for their students, in the classroom and beyond.
I see there's some more answers in the chat. And I just want to say that I've already touched on it, but I think what these two do the best is to communicate. It's like the law of real estate. I think the fact that you have lots of touch points, that's always been the secret to me. Melinda and I were talking yesterday, and I see a lot of programs. It's no one's fault, but I just see successful programs, not successful programs. And I see some programs, I won't say a lot, that say, okay, Joyce, it was nice to meet you. Here's your login and password. Have a nice day. Talk to you later. You might as well just forget about it. I mean, just try something else, because if that's the case, it's just not. And look, at the best, we're not going to capture all the students that walk in our doors anyways. So what I always say is, I have Joyce, she comes in, and then when Joyce goes home that day, and I'm oversimplifying this, hey, Joyce, it was great meeting you today. I see you've already logged on to XYZ program. I'm thrilled about that. The next day, wow, you've worked for an hour. I love that. That's so great. A week later, Joyce, is everything okay? I see you've not been on for a while. And I think that communication is so important. So that's my 2 cents.
Great. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate
Thank you,
saying
Gary.
Yeah, I see in the chat also, I love the idea of newsletter for students, weekly check-ins. I like the newsletter idea too. And one thing, if you look at that template, it is a very basic template. It's just, a highlight, and you can make it however you want. It could be as short, or as long, just maybe highlighting a student or what's going on in the program. Sometimes if you do have a distance learning model in your program, those students, since they're not coming in person, they can feel a little bit out of touch. So just letting them know, hey, what's going on in the program? We have a thing in our program called Speaker Series, where students can come in an hour early and listen to a special guest speaker. And sometimes if the distance learning students, if they're not getting a weekly newsletter or some kind of weekly email, they would know about it.
Exactly.
So just keeping them in the know of what's going on.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Joyce.
We want to make them feel as part of the community as a student that comes once or twice a week. And what happens is, if we're not intentional about reaching those students, we do something as well in our program that's called CAP projects, community action projects. Every single student that is part of our program, it doesn't matter what mode of instruction they are receiving, they are our students. So we make sure that they are aware of the things that are happening, and it really increases their motivation. It increases their ability to want to be a part of something. What we have found is a lot of our students who initially fell into the distance learning only pathway were students that missed our in-person registration. So for whatever reason, they missed that registration, but they still wanted some English. They wanted to learn English, and this was what we offered them kind of as initially as a placeholder to the next semester, so that way they can come face to face. But a lot of the students love Engine so much that they've opted to continue just being a distance learning only student. So that's a testament to Melinda, and that's a testament to what Gary does, and it's a testament to Engine. Okay.
All right. One thing I'll mention too, that we didn't mention earlier, one of the links is a student accountability journal. That's something we created for our mixed mode instruction that's going on now. But if you click on that, it helps students kind of keep track of what they're doing, and the same with the schedule ideas to really make a point of especially even all levels, I won't just say lower level, knowing what time each day or after work or whenever they can do it, and getting into that routine of working on their own. And then I see Gary put a question in the chat. Do all
or anyone on here find that students, ESL especially, tell others about your programs? Absolutely. The word of mouth that we receive is absolutely, it's phenomenal. I mean, one of the things that we ask is, how did you hear about our program? And most of our students, it's word of mouth, by a family member, by a friend, by a coworker. Yes.
Thanks. I was curious.
Okay, we're almost at the end.
All right, so we couldn't end this with oh, go ahead, Joyce. Sorry, I was ahead of myself.
No, it's okay.
Yep.
You could have gone ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I'll do that last one.
Oh, okay. So in summary, make the most of student independent learning is really, we've been saying this the entire time we've been with you today, taking the time that is needed to research and invest in selecting the best platform, then guiding students, personal learning plans, guiding the students. They do need a little bit of help at the beginning, so we have to guide them into what this might look like, because this might be the first time that they've ever scheduled time to study or anything like that. So really that the modeling and the guiding is essential, and then providing meaningful check-ins with the students on a weekly basis. Absolutely, I agree.
All right, for our last slide, we couldn't end without having a final thinking point and looking now at our signs. Is there a sign that jumps out to you now about how you're feeling about making the most of students' independent learning? Maybe something you're excited about, an idea or not. If you'd like to share, put your number on the chat, and we'd love for you to share aloud before we go, if you'd like. I'll still do my 8, because in Virginia, we did not get any snow days last year.
I went the opposite. I went slow as opposed to fast, to sort of think about realistic expectations.
Right.
But, my space dealing with you guys and you guys dealing with students also.
Yes, and I was thinking for the number 5, the exclamation point, it could really go either way, like an exclamation point of, something positive or not so much. So
kind of like, what the heck, or yay.
Right. Right.
Oh, I like that. Let's go.
Thank you, Melissa, for sharing.
Thank you.
I'm still
Well,
on
I'm gonna
because
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm on 4. I started on slow and I'm still on slow because I'm new to adult learning. Well, new to teaching ESL students. So I'm learning and they are learning at the same time. I've only been on the job about 3 weeks. So
welcome.
Thank you. So everything that I can absorb and learn, I'm trying to, and this conference has really, really helped me to learn about a lot of resources that are out there.
Wonderful.
Well, I'm gonna be the deer. I'm just gonna start prancing around.
I see what Darlene wrote, and it reminds me that, first of all, I think that's really important. And NGen actually tells people, and I think all good distance ed programs and teachers, administrators, whatever, remind people that it's more important to, correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, but I think it's on every assessment, or at some point in NGen, it reminds you to just work, even if it's 15 minutes, 5 days a week, better than 2 hours 1 day a week.
Right. Yes.
And I wanted to say two other things that just popped in my head. One is that NGen works at all levels. It works. I don't know that it works at the lowest literacy level, but it works pretty low and it goes very high. I know that Melinda and Joyce have a lot of students that are high level. And also there's a ton of IET coursework in here. There's just a ton. And I know Melinda referenced that early on. They're always adding courses. Our specialist in this program said it's like Christmas whenever she opens up NGen because they always add new lessons. And there's a ton in the workplace space. So I think it would actually even work with native speakers. Personally, we're in an ESL, this is an ESL conversation, but I think that the stuff that they get on the workforce side, especially someone comes from Romania and they're a nurse practitioner in Romania and they come here and they just need to brush up on medical English, etc. You know, that would work. Or if someone was a nurse practitioner and just wanted to jump in and brush up, that would also help. But that's my take on it. I do think that the program really needs to be, and I remember saying this to Melinda, it does need to be seen to be believed. You know, there's so much in there, and this is a perfect way to present it because there's so much in there. It would just be, you know, it'd be all over the map. And I like the organization here. So, sorry, that's all I wanted to say. I shouldn't keep jumping in, but I can't help myself.
No, we're glad that you do.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
All right, well, just, I think, we just have our, contact information,
Yes.
and we just thank you for joining us today. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. Joyce?
I was gonna say thank you so much for your time and your willingness to listen and take it all in. And if you do have any questions, we'd be more than happy to respond. Just give us a call or you can send us an email. All right.
All right, looks like,
All okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was
All
awesome.
right. Have a good one.
all right,
Okay,
thanks, Gary.
And
Bye.
Melinda
Thank
and Joyce,
you.
maybe we'll gather up and deprogram.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right,
Thanks again.
bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Joyce, you can stop for everybody, leave, but you're gonna get a prompt to continue with the recording as it downloads. So you can just wait until the prompt goes off on your computer, okay?
It says, are you sure you want to stop recording to cloud?
Yes, you want to stop recording to